I've drawn my little characters and I'm going to add a little bit of colour. So I've got the True Blue blend. I'm going to take the lightest blue and just add a little bit of shading on my speech bubbles. Not a whole lot. Balance that out there. So I'm going around the line where it shows that the bubble's going behind the next bubble, and just do a little bit along here, and then you can even just do a couple of little dots, space them out, so it kind of looks like it's a bit shiny. Just to add a little bit of colour here and there. But I usually start with the lightest one, and as it dries it kind of seems to get a little bit lighter. So I'm just going to put little bits around the edges of his face. And I'm going to look, where do I think I've got shadows? So probably under his armpits. And it's totally up to you. You just use it however you want. Put your shadows wherever you want. I know you should find a light source and, you know, look at where the light is going and just add that, but at the end of the day, you're just colouring. It's about having fun. And you can see that this is starting to dry off and it's getting sort of quite light. You can come back in with a slightly darker, like the mid-tone, and add a little bit more, so it deepens just little bits of those shadows. I'm no expert with alcohol markers. I just play around till I like it. And I might just do a little bit, I don't want it too dark, a little bit on the cheeks, and then maybe inside the pores. And I'm going to do the heart in this coral colour. And the pale one here is very much like our peach cardstock. So I find it's a really good match for peachy kind of cards. And then you can just get the slightly darker one and just add a little bit more if you want some different kinds of shading. And so I've got the earth brown blend. I'm going with the lightest one first. And at first it looks quite dark. And so I'm just going to colour, carefully go around and colour him all the way around. And the awesome thing with the alcohol markers is that they kind of spread themselves out. As you flood an area, it evens itself out as it dries. Then I'm going to come in with a little bit darker and just add a few little shadows here and there. Not too much. Maybe a little bit where the pores kind of overlap. Tiny bit round the edge. And around the ears. Maybe a little bit under his chin. It's kind of hard because you don't want to put too much on there, but at the same time you want to put a little bit. And usually when I get to the really dark one, I just add a couple of little dots rather than full-on colouring, because I don't want to lose too much of, I've got that mid-tone shading, I don't want to completely blot that out, and I just want to sort of add a little bit here and there. So I find by doing dots or splotches, you get a little bit of darker in there without overpowering it. So I'm just taking the lightest of the red blend and just carefully going around him. Sometimes I'll actually go, you know, give it a bit of a border so that when I want to just relax and colour in the rest, I've got a bit of margin to colour into. I know some people go around in circles so it kind of blends. You can do that if you want to. I tend to fill in areas like that. And then I'm going to come in with a slightly darker and add a little bit of shadowing. I'm probably going to end up colouring most of that. This is the darkest one again. So I'm going to do some spots to just kind of feather it out without full on trying to blend them all out. I've got the dull green, so I'm going to go with the mid-tone. I love this pen, and it's evident because it's almost running out. The pale shade is just about done. And I've got a new one should be arriving today. But it's not here yet, so I've got to just make do with this one. So I'm just going to colour most of the body in this mid-tone green. So I'm going to go around the outside edges. So I'm just going all the way around his body at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to add just little bits of darker shading. And because this is sort of a reptile kind of, you know, lizardy dinosaur with the scales on the skin, then you can actually have the dots works out quite good because then it looks sort of scaly. And a little bit here maybe. So you just sort of stop and have a look and think, all right, where do I want to even that out? I'm going to go back to the face. And I put a little bit of hair around his chin. Might just leave the bottom of his chin just plain. Maybe a little bit across the top of his nose here. A little bit around the eyes. I don't want to lose the eyes, but need a little bit of shadow there. And then I can come in with slightly darker for under his chin, and then maybe round on part of his belly. And then I'm going to keep with this mid-tone one and just do the inside of the top of his face and do the spots. And then I'm going to come in with the darker yellow to really make those spots stand out a bit more. Really bring those to life and put a bit more at the top of his head there. Okay, I'm going to get the tan blend just to do my wood sign. Because I want it to have a little bit of colour there. And just add a little bit of shading here and there because under his hand is going to have some shadows because his hand is on it and where the sign sticks out. And then you can always just flick a little bit as well. Just to add some interest, almost like a wood grain. Can come in with slightly darker if you want. You don't want to make it too dark though. Go around with a grey. Or maybe I should have gone lighter. And just add a little bit of shadow here and there. And it's actually good because it's kind of blending out where I went over the lines with the green. So you can come in with the lighter one. The palest of the ice grey, and just blend it out a little bit because that one's going to dry a little bit lighter on the paper anyway. See, that's drying and it's actually softening, but it gives a nice little, makes him pop off the paper. Now that might not be so great with the pussycat. I'd probably have to use a darker grey to make it pop up, but I think I'm just going to leave it white. yeah, so that's the colouring.